With that being said, it is now 7 o'clock, and we'll go ahead and like to start this meeting. The Board of Aldermen of the City of Brookshire will conduct a regular meeting on Thursday, July the 7th, 2022 at 7 o'clock p.m. in the council chambers of the Brookshire Municipal Building located at 4029 Fifth Street. This time we'll do the prayer. Is there anyone in the audience like to give us a prayer?
Dear Heavenly Father, as we come to represent the citizens of the city of Brookshire, Father, we ask that you bless us with your wisdom. Father, let us all place our personalities away from this and let all principles and the fact of that this is business and there's nothing personal to be done in this meeting. Help us to help each other, Father, and help this city to unite and become one, Father. We thank you for all the blessings that you bestow upon us. We ask for your traveling mercies on our way home, and we ask all of this in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Roll call. Roll call. Cause you gonna skip it.
Ms. Corner, could you do the roll call for us?
Mayor Branch,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Branch,
Here.
Alderman Stamps, Alderwoman Taylor,
Here.
Alderwoman Melgendorf,
Present.
Alderman Hill.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Well, Mr. Kelly, can you check the public comments list? Thank you, sir. Okay, number one, we have Miss Jennifer.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Knezik, and I'm with Senator Joan Huffman's office. I just wanted to introduce myself and also thank the mayor and all the alderwomen and men and the staff for everything that you do for the city.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And the second person is Mr. Henry Lasky.
He's on the agenda.
He on
Yeah, wait till
number 11.
number 11. Are you going to wait till number 11, or you had something else you wanted to talk about? Okay. Okay, let's move on to agenda item number 4, discussion and possible action regarding awarding a contractor or contractors for the GLO CDBG DR Single Family Housing Program, contract number 19-076-052-B705. Who's going to speak on that one?
Mayor, I think talk loud, so I have a microphone, but Mayor, you have in your packet a letter from GrantWorks, as part of their CDBG program. They reviewed, it looks like they reviewed 3 submissions CA Construction, James W. Turner, and Arnold Building Group. They recommend that you approve James W. Turner Construction as the eligible for contracting under contract number 1976503703.
Any discussion?
I make a,
Is this the same contractor?
go ahead, Mr. Hill.
Is this the same contractor that was awarded the previous contracts?
Ms. Connor says no, Mr. Hill.
Okay.
This is the first one for the city of Brookshire. The other contracts were the counties.
This is the first one for the city. The other one was contracts through the county.
Thank you much, Ms. Connor and Ms. Branch.
I make a motion that we award James W. Turner of Tomball, Texas as the eligible contractor in accordance with the Flood Housing Assistance Program, contract number 19-076-052-B705.
Second.
Mr. Hill, your vote?
4.
Ms. Taylor?
4.
So, motion carries. Let's move on to agenda item number 5. Discussion and possible action regarding ordinance number 22-697-15, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Brookshire regarding food trucks.
Mayor and council, this has been an item that's been out there for a while, but the way that your code is structured now, it's worded pretty confusing. And so what's happened in your code is you've adopted the state regulations for all types of food permits. Food trucks are incorporated into that. And you're allowed under state law to make local amendments to those things. And so how that's been done is you take the language from the state statute and just put it in your own code with amendments into it. So for average person reading that, it's really confusing and hard to read. That's why this is longer than it probably needs to be. But essentially how that affected your food trucks here was that they're allowed, but they're only allowed if they're associated with a temporary event. That's what your code said, but that was never defined what that meant. And so that meant it's confusing for the people applying for that food permit. You know, what is a temporary event? How long is that? And so not only does an applicant have to come to the city staff, but you have to decide, what does that mean for what is a temporary event? So in the past, it's meant, an actual event, like a fair or something like that. During the pandemic, because there was, necessity for some of these food trucks, then the council started allowing temporary, meaning like a few days a week. It's not necessarily an event, but again, it's not defined in your code. So what this amendment does is it takes away the connection between a food truck permit and a temporary event. So all they have to do is follow the food truck process. They go to city staff, and they meet the requirements that are already there. Then they get the food truck permit. It's just not going to be associated with a temporary event. It's going to be just a food truck permit.
So, Mr. Pruitt, would we still have to individually approve, like agenda items 6 and 7 are for mobile food trucks? Would that continue to be the process moving forward?
Not unless there's something that's just out of ordinary. As long as they meet what's in your code, then there wouldn't be any necessary approval by the city council. So it would just be kind of the staff level. And as long as they meet, and there's a requirements here that match all the state laws. As long as they pay their fees and have their proper certifications and plans submitted to the city, then they can get issued the permit, and it doesn't involve the city council.
Are there any type of restrictions for the length of time that mobile food trucks are allowed to operate under the revision of this ordinance?
Well, I think that's what we discussed in the last meeting, and I'm gonna blame, I spoke with Mr. Pruitt, and we had other pressing issues to take care of, and I wasn't able to help him refine this, but I'm gonna tell you, once again, I've said this before, and it'll probably be said again. We have too many food trucks in town. When we have food trucks in town, they keep businesses from wanting brick and mortar here. And if we have too many food trucks, then none of the food trucks that's here is going to make any money. I mean, right now I think we have 6 just right off the top of my head. And I'm not in agreement with it, but I'm only one person.
I think my main concern is just maybe the locale of various different food trucks. If the ordinance, I don't know if there's, I guess I'll defer to you to ask this question then. Would it be proper to possibly, consider something like this, the ordinance as it's written now, and potentially amend it in the future to maybe limit the length of time that a food truck could potentially be parked in one location? And the reason why I say that is if we have food trucks that are popping up all over town, in terms of aesthetics, I don't know if that's something that we want to continue or encourage within the city. Like you said, if we're discouraging brick and mortar, I would love it if a developer would come in and consider doing a food truck park. That would be something more of a local event. Families could go. There's several of them that are successful in the city of Houston, Conroe, Magnolia Spring area, something where there's a stationary location where they can come. And I think it provides more of an atmosphere, and it kind of helps with the aesthetic across the city. The idea of a food truck, don't get me wrong, love a food truck. But as the ordinance reads, and I understand the reasoning behind it because we're removing that temporary event, I would just be concerned, I guess, for, if with the ordinance, then that would mean that anybody could open a food truck anywhere, and there's not a length of time that is stipulated to where they can be at that location, and that could potentially become a problem.
Yep. And in the past, we've okayed food trucks temporarily, gave them a 6-month span to do Monday through Friday, and that wasn't good enough. Then they wanted to decide to move from that location to another location, so city council took the time to listen to them, said, okay, y'all can do that, and then it doesn't happen. Either you are or you're not. And like you said, if we just say, hey, it's a free-for-all, everybody can park anywhere. How do we know that Kim's food truck got an okay from Sally Sue's Market to park a food truck there on Sunday when that store is not open? We don't. There has to be some kind of rhyme and reason to this.
You don't have to approve this tonight. It was just the original suggestion was no food trucks, and so drafted for that. Now it's drafted to allow them, but just no temporary event connection. You're free. The state law gives you the authority to put any restrictions you want on the food truck permit. So, cities do all kinds of stuff. Sometimes it's limited to location, to park. Sometimes it's timing. Sometimes it's, I've seen some cities that they only issue the permit if they're within a certain, if they're in a certain distance from a brick and mortar store, they have to get permission from that store. There's all kinds of ways to do that. And again, approving this or not approving this tonight, tabling it, not going to affect the next 2 items, because even as it stands now, the next 2 items were food truck permits getting under the current current setup, which is gonna ask you to have, approve them temporarily, but moving forward, if you approve this as it stands now, there would just be no temporary event associated with the permit. It would just go through your city staff, and then as long as they've submitted the proper documentation, then it would be approved.
Well, Mr. Pruitt, I have another question or maybe a comment. I know in our city ordinances, if you have a business, you have to have X amount of parking spots. The churches are one parking spot per 4 members of the church, this, that, and other. So if Sally Sue's Market has 10 parking spots and we let Kim Branch's food truck park there, now she no longer meets the city ordinance with her parking spots, and the food truck's customers is going to take up space. So does that make the city liable for bending our own city ordinance?
So the city's not gonna be liable for not enforcing its ordinances. I mean, all that would be in that situation would allow you to, potentially enforce a parking requirement on an establishment, but, yeah, if it was something that you were concerned with parking, if this was causing a parking issue, that's a requirement you could add into the code.
I think we need to look further at this. That's just my opinion.
I understand the revision of the ordinance because the previous one essentially would have put the current food trucks out of business, and I don't think that's fair to the ones that were already established and running. But I would like to see, I agree with removing the temporary event portion of it, but I think I would like to see something, whether it be to where, like you were saying, some sort of documentation of permission process, or whether the permit process has a section for that, to where we know that where they're set up is okay with the landowner, the property owner, the business owner, and something to maybe where it would be fairly temporary. Maybe it's something that they have to revisit every 6 months, and hopefully, fingers crossed, maybe we have additional developments by that point in time, to where then we could amend the ordinance to say no food trucks within a certain area unless you are at a particular location.
I believe the current application already requires them to have permission of the tenant of the property in which they're going to set up. Because if you look at the applications for Daddy Duncan's Barbecue, for example, there's an attestation by the owner of Blooming 90 for them to be there.
Location and permission letter.
Is that something that they have to bring, Jennifer, is a letter stating Kim Branch gave me permission to park my food truck?
Part of it, if you look on the proposed one, page 2, section kind of near the middle, bottom of the page, I guess this is from your code now. Mobile food units for food trucks, they gotta, they can only be permitted after the operator obtains the temporary food establishment. That's different than a temporary event, temporary food establishment permit. And then they gotta get written permission from the property owner or office tenant. So if they own the property, they can be there. Ownership. If it's not their property, they just show permission to be there. That's already. But if you want to table it or just not take any action on it, then what we can do is just all get a different term, put in your post terms, and we can pass the council on.
'Cause I think we need to revise.
I'd like to make a motion that we table this to give myself and Mr. Pruitt time, and if there's any input from the other council members, if they could get that input to keep it from being a walking quorum, to Jennifer, what's your last? Miss Lopez, to pass on, it would be greatly appreciated, and that's my motion.
Second.
Ms. Newendorf,
4.
4. Mr. Hill?
Four.
Did I miss something?
I seconded it.
Okay, motion carries. We'll table this. For you people that are standing up in the back, there's some open chairs up here. Please feel free to come and sit down. Y'all don't want to sit? I know it.
It's
Sorry.
just toasty.
We tried to get the AC going today, but just couldn't get it done.
So Mayor, on the next two items, just to make sure we're clear, there's nothing that stops those next two items because you didn't approve that. The ordinance change doesn't stop these other two. So essentially what you're doing is, under current code, the next two items, the way that your code is now, you gotta have to still decide what temporary event means. So that's the way your code's written now. So that's what the next two applications for food trucks, you have to decide what the temporary event is.
So we just table those two also?
No, I'm saying
Mm-mm.
there's no action. I mean, you just take action like normal.
Oh.
Because you haven't amended your code, what that means is right now that you have to decide what temporary event means. That's not defined in your code anywhere.
Okay. Then item number 6, discussion and possible action regarding approval of Daddy Duncan's Barbecue food truck to operate at 3719 Highway 90 to sell barbecue on the weekends. Mr. Randy Duncan?
Hello, thank you for having me. I'd like to post up in front of Bloomin' 90 General Store here off of Highway 90 and 359. I started about 6 years ago. I was in the city of Katy, Houston and Katy, in my food truck. We've always brought out a really good crowd, 3-4 hour lines. Usually on the weekends is when we're out. We have a lot of followers from being recognized with Texas Monthly, Houston Chronicle, Best of Katy, and so forth. We were at Irma Rose Winery for the last 2 years, but when they sold their property for an HEB to go in, because the growth of Katy is really, a lot of new neighborhoods, a lot of new stores coming in, so we had to look for a new location. And my friends here in Brookshire thought this would be a good spot, so we did the weekly event permit and brought out 5-hour lines to those weekends, and I feel like it'll bring good revenue also to Brookshire. Home buyers, people that might be looking to also put in restaurants or just spend money in the stores around us. From what I hear, the vintage stores, especially when we're in front of, had some of their best days of sales. It's a very diverse customer base. We've done a lot for the community, even here in Brookshire, with the Hemi Hideout and Family Hope Gala and different events. I started in 2017 during Hurricane Harvey with the fire station. So even now, teachers and first responders still get $5 off at our food truck. So it's a nice truck. It's fully inspected by Harris County. And the way they do it is they pretty much just check your truck, make sure you have everything that's right. Fire marshal checks it. They give you your permit for the year. And then, they can do certain inspections throughout the year if needed. We've never had any complaints, good reviews, and probably some of the best barbecue in Texas. So I hope that be okay for us to start setting up on the weekends over there and try to start bringing some people in this way. I feel like Brookshire's the next boom town. If you've looked at Katy, it's only coming this way. And I just feel like for us, we could possibly be anywhere in the Heights in Houston, other parts of Katy, but I feel like it's be a good spot for us to sell barbecue if we had that chance.
How'd you get a permit already?
It was the event permits. The smoker company that's next door to Bloomin' 90 was having a kind of a grand opening day. So they wanted to have us out. They were going to do some to sell some of their smokers and stuff like that. And I'm friends with them. Also know Gary, the owner of Bloomin' 90, who has that property. So I put in the paper from Gary stating I could be there. There's a restroom also available for the public. There's some seating as necessary as well. And the parking's really good because it's sitting on a half-acre lot. You got parking in the grass area and all around the whole street. Nothing else really there except for the 2 vintage shops where people park all day on those sides of the street to just go in and shop.
But you posted on Facebook before you ever got a permit that was y'all's new home and y'all were gonna be open Monday through Friday.
Well, no,
That-
not Monday through Friday, but on the weekends. I did want to let people know that we were going to be out in Brookshire because it takes a little while for social media to kind of kick in because of us leaving our old location. So I just wanted to let them know, hey, we have a new home in Brookshire. I didn't understand the process because when I came up here to the city, they said, well, you have to get an event permit, and I got an event permit for the weekend. Then I came back and I got an event permit for the month of June. So I was like, well, it looks like that's what I'll have to do each month is come back, because I asked, well, was there a health department that I need to speak with for the Waller County? And there wasn't a health department or someone to actually give a permit for the year.
There is. The
Okay,
state- the
that's
state permit, and I'd be more than happy to stop by and
Yeah.
chat with you
okay. That'd be great.
about that, or have our inspector come by. But
Yeah.
yes, I mean, part of the reasoning of having this, even at, we'll say, the 4th of July festival,
Okay.
if somebody gets sick, we need to be able to go back and see where did they get sick from.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not a liability issue, it's a health and safety issue. And if we have a problem with Kim's food truck, then
Yeah.
Kim's food truck doesn't need to be here if it's going to cause any problems unless
Right.
they have the right.
Yeah. And that's why I hold insurance for any kind of, in case the customer hurts themselves or on the food truck gets any kind of food poisoning or, any of the above like that. I have to hold insurance on the truck itself. I have to have the people that work on there are licensed. I'm licensed. I've been a chef for 30 years. I worked in hotels and restaurants.
So all of y'all have food handler.
Yeah, we all have food handlers permits to be on there, 3-compartment sinks, refrigerators, the whole 9. So I'm basically just barbecuing and then serving off the truck. It's not a full cooking truck, so I wouldn't need the full fire extinguishers and so forth. It's basically smoking some briskets and having potato salad and baked potatoes and stuff like that to sell. 3-4 hours is usually our max with the amount of people that we get out until we sell out, basically. I like to run Fridays and Saturdays, sometimes Sunday, maybe after church, but that's kind of something we were looking at. But I also wanted to get some shading out there because it's been so hot, 100 plus out there. So, but we had a good crowd for the times that we could be out there, and I guess it would be up to y'all to let us get the permit so we can be out there for the year and see how it goes.
We need to redo our.
Yeah, I saw
Update
number
or-
5 was kind of a tough act to follow. So.
Yeah.
And I noticed there's another barbecue place here in town. I wasn't sure if I heard he'd been here for a very long time. I wasn't sure if that was actually a brick and mortar or if that was a food truck kind of
It's
made
not a
into
food truck.
Yeah. So,
He pays taxes on that land.
okay. So it's his land, yeah. But I'd be very thankful if y'all would let me go ahead and set up and we could get some folks out. It's good barbecue.
So, Mr. Pruitt, what would be the appropriate time frame to approve this for? Because when you said we need to determine what temporary or event is, or whatever your wording was, what would be the most appropriate action for this?
So you have temporary event permits that have already been applied for and approved. So I guess theoretically, that if you denied this, the applicant can come back and just get a temporary event and get approved on those short-term basis. Now you have what happened over the pandemic era, that year and a half or so, you approved several food trucks, and they were how you define temporary was a few days a week, or like different times of the week at different locations. So, I mean, I don't know that I have an answer for you on how you should define that, but how you've done that, how you've interpreted a temporary event is, instead of being associated with like a festival or something like that, or a grand opening like the applicant said, you've defined it as different days of the week.
So based on his application, he requested
Okay,
weekends.
So
Right.
if-
So we could, in theory, say on the weekends for a period of 6 months, which give us time also to address the ordinance regarding food trucks.
Yeah, I think that'd be fine.
I was gonna say, it's the beginning, I mean, it's our first
Okay.
meeting of July. If we granted him that for the weekends only through the end of 2022, then that would give us time to revisit the ordinance, and see what changes we have between now and then as well.
I agree.
Open for a motion?
I move to approve the temporary permit for Daddy Duncan's Barbecue to operate on the weekends only throughout the rest of the calendar year 2022 at Bloomin' 90 General Store per the permission of Mr. Cruz Jr.
Second.
Can I ask you, what define the weekend, please?
Like Friday and
Friday,
Saturday.
Saturdays? No?
Friday, Saturday,
Friday,
and
Saturday,
Sunday,
Sunday.
the weekend.
Just one, like,
Yep.
Okay.
Ms. Taylor, your vote?
Do I need to amend my motion to say Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or just say weekends based on the application? Okay.
4.
Ms. Branch, your vote?
No. We just opened ourselves up for every food truck for 6 months that we have to approve.
Has everyone voted?
Yes. It's 3, 4, and 1 against. It passed.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We got a lot of these. We have a lot.
But you can't.
Okay, moving on to agenda item number 7, discussion and possible action regarding approval of a food truck to operate at 1018 Bain Street. Ms. Luce? Ina. State your name, please.
Perla Delgado.
One more time.
Perla Delgado.
Perla Delgado.
Good luck, Brett.
PERLADELGADO.
Yes.
Ooh. Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
So we just wanted to open another location. Just put another taco stand. Yes.
What's the first one? May I ask?
Taqueria Coahuila. It's the Exxon.
Okay.
I don't know I think it's like 213 FM.
The green one?
Yeah. Yes. But it's gonna be a new one. We just wanted like how she said, like very nice, like without parking spot.
Are y'all moving that one out and redoing
Pasa
one, or
Mover
y'all
esa?
adding to that one?
No, we want another. Yeah, she wants a new
Another-
one. Yes, she wants another business. Yes.
And where is that going to be?
I don't know.
It's
the-
in your packet.
Yeah.
Agenda item 7. It's at basically the intersection where 359 and 362 split.
Yes.
At the
Oh,
tire
it's
shop?
across-
That's,
across the
well, no,
truck?
not, because the tire shop's like where that little Y is, and this one is kind of on the southeast corner.
Yeah, and it's empty. It's like cleaned out and stuff.
So in other words.
Explain
there was
to
something
me
else
one
there
more
already.
time, the location.
Depot and
I don't know. I don't really know the location where it is.
Depot and.
It's Depot and Baines,
Yeah,
before
Baines.
Baines splits to 359 and 362.
In the empty lot.
Yes.
Where's people gonna park at?
Well, we're gonna make a parking lot.
Out of,
I don't know. ¿De qué va a ser el parqueadero? ¿Cómo lo vas a hacer?
Bueno, si me dan los permisos,
Ujú.
voy a sacar, voy a poner a pavimentar, poner un...
it's
De
certain
cemento?
materials that you have
It's
to
gonna be,
use.
yeah, it's gonna be like concrete.
So,
Or, well, we don't know if we do get the permits, then we're gonna talk about how we can make it.
What materials?
Yes,
you
what
can use.
materials we can use and stuff.
because you know it's
That's gonna be a
only
multi-step
certain
process.
materials
Yeah,
that you can use for a parking lot.
Yeah.
And then we just discussed that food trucks may or may not be allowed in Brookshire, and I would hate for you to spend $3,000 on this
Oh, yeah.
great
I know.
concrete parking spot, and then all of a sudden it's against city ordinance. I mean,
Es que están hablando del número 5 de que a lo mejor van a probarlo para que se queden ya o no, o que se puedan quitar. Por eso están diciendo que no quería que si vayas a hacerlo, gastes todo ese dinero y se tire a la basura.
And also putting in a concrete parking lot would be different types of permitting that's required for
Yeah.
that. We're gonna have different grading engineers that come in and make sure that water runoff and different things like that is adhered to.
survey of the land.
Survey of the land and
Yeah.
plating and,
Well, we don't know if it's going to be concrete, but something that
And I mean, even though I'm against food trucks, I don't want you to think that I'm just that bad of a
you're
person.
fine.
Say that we say, okay, you can have this
Yeah.
food truck, and you do everything within your power to make this a great place for a food truck. And then all of a sudden,
it just doesn't work. The permit.
nobody wants your product anymore. And I mean, because we had one right in that vicinity there at the church that had great food. It just didn't work.
Yeah, well,
I hate to see people spend their hard-earned money and time on something to meet the requirements of the city, and then it doesn't work.
well, we've had ours for like a long time, and like people really love our food. So
Puede que aparte queremos hacer
Yeah.
para
Hey,
todos.
if you're
we're
willing,
trying to make just different type of food, not just the same Mexican food that we yeah.
Mexican food, pero different concept.
different concept.
Yes.
Who owns the property where you're looking at?
¿Quién es la que el dueño? Leticia Rodriguez.
Okay. And do you have permission from Leticia to be using it, or are you paying, I mean, I'm not if I'm allowed
Yeah.
to ask if they're paying rent for the property or?
Well, we're not yet, but we will if we get approved. But yes, ma'am.
that's on y'all. I mean, I just spoke my piece a minute ago.
Do we need to verify that, or is there anything that would prohibit us from possibly approving the temporary permit with the same stipulations as we discussed for Daddy Duncan's barbecue, permitting that we receive the written permission from, or either the written permission or a copy of a lease agreement or something?
That could be your.
I know, I'm like looking at the police, like the police don't want to get involved in, in anything that's like, well, all of a sudden a food truck showed up on my lot that I didn't know was coming.
Your motion could be to approve it contingent that it meets all city ordinance permitting requirements. And no, that was not a motion.
No, I understand what you're saying. Okay.
Any further discussion?
Justin, did I just do your job? I'm so sorry.
No, I'm fine. I was asking a question about, because there was a part of the packet had I was just confused about who actually owned the property, because there was another attachment in the packet for a request to be on the agenda, and it wasn't, it's just in support of the food truck. It's not associated with the property. So I was just.
That's in our packet right now?
Yeah, there should be, under item 7, you'll have the application.
That's right on top.
I don't have that in mine at all.
It's right behind this one.
I don't have.
You don't have that one?
in my- No. I have a whole lot of Daddy Duncan, and then we move on to
It kind of blends in with Daddy
item number
Duncan because
8.
they also have pictures.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, I was just
Um,
confused about that, so I was just saying that's not as important.
Gotcha. Well, I guess I move to approve the temporary permit for Mrs. Luce. Say for Mrs. Luce to operate throughout the course of the calendar year of 2022 at the property listed on the application, contingent upon receiving either a copy of the lease or permission to use the property.
Second.
Second. I thought she was done. Second. I thought she said something.
Mr. Hill, your vote?
4.
And Ms. Branch?
Against.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And it's hot in here. Agenda item number 8, discussion and possible action regarding a request from the Brookshire Municipal Water District to provide funds from the Corona State and Local Recovery Funds Program as part of America Rescue Plan Act of 2021 for eligibility water, wastewater projects.
Hello, my council members.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Let me get straight to the point.
Can you state your name for
Oh,
us?
my name is Michael Whitaker with the Brookshire Municipal Water District.
Go ahead, sir.
By any chance, would y'all have this sitting in front of y'all?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So, 2 points I'd just like to focus on. You know, we had a situation where we had the big freeze. So we had a situation where the city of Brookshire was actually working to a minimum capacity because both of the generators actually went out. So at the time, with the generators going out, that was only a minimum amount of water that was actually fed to the citizens. And due to the fact the citizens are trying to have their lines open, so it was actually in a situation that was actually worse than what it was. Because if we, like when they're throwing out their lines, they just had the water running because they're trying to keep their lines from freezing. That actually made the situation worse. So this was submitted to you guys about 2 years ago before myself and some other members actually got into the board of directors at the water district. But it's 2 things that I would like for you guys to actually look at and consider for the community, and only for the community. The first one is the Cooper Road Water Plant, the standby generator. The line item number one. And then the wastewater treatment plant, which would be the 6th line item, the first number 3, where it says wastewater treatment plant, standby generator. So with the act that was given, we know that infrastructure is part of the program. And the infrastructure for Brookshire, we are working on it right now. Actually, on the north side of Brookshire is actually with the new water lines that is being installed, and it will be coming this way as well. But what we need the help at is actually for those generators, because to have that situation again for the citizens, I don't want to see it. I wouldn't want to see it, because if we had those generators, guess what? We'd have had water and wastewater for the community, but we probably wouldn't have had no lights. Nobody would have had no lights. But we'd have had operating water and operating sewer because of the backup generators. So I'm just coming to you guys, just playing out. I'm about action. I'm just coming in and just saying that please, just look at it. Think about it. Think about it with the funds that was given. Look at those two situations. Not everything that was here. The two main situations. Those generators are truly needed, that we do need for the community of Brookshire. That right now, if BMWD try to go out and purchase that, oh man, we're gonna be hurting. Like literally hurting.
Well, when are y'all gonna meet with the city council to discuss other things? Because what I believe Mr. Stamps has probably asked over for 2 years for y'all's board and our board to meet. I've had great concerns. I've spoke with you personally. I try and speak with Ms. Green at council meetings and have it properly put on the agenda to no avail. But nobody ever wants to communicate or work with the city, but now all of a sudden, everybody needs the city and, yeah,
Well,
you know how it is, Mr. Wood.
I can't speak on a lot of old stuff. I just gotta look at what's right now.
You've been there, it ain't old.
Well,
Oh, what
I've been
I'm
at-
talking about ain't old.
I've been there 2 years, but nothing has come across where I seen where the city and Brookshire having a meeting. I'm saying me. I can't speak on no one else. Due to my personal work schedule, only time I'm pretty much actually available when we do have the meetings. I'm actually cutting into my time to leave my job to actually make the meeting, so I can try to find out what's going on in the city, in the community. Because those who know me, if a situation come to me, like directly to me personally, I mean, I believe in going out and trying to resolve that situation. And what you have, Mayor Pro Tem, sometimes I might fall short because guess what? I got to take care of my family.
You've never fell short when I've contacted you, Mr. Whitaker, but maybe you ought to look into how many times we've asked
Okay.
with your staff.
I will, and thank you. I will definitely look at that. And but besides that, I would truly like
And
for
your
you guys.
other board members.
Yes. Well, I think it's time for a change. I
Yes.
think it's time that we all just come together for the city of Brookshire. Whatever it may be, just put our personal differences aside. If there is any personal difference, just put it to the side.
So what y'all are asking is money that the city got for a grant
Yes,
for
ma'am.
COVID funds
Yes, ma'am.
to share with y'all.
Yes, ma'am. Exactly.
All right, if I can interject, please. Number one, and the other board members may be fully aware, but in the packet here, there is nothing that talks about the grant, how much we received,
That was my
how the
question.
grant is supposed to be used. There's no context for me to even be willing to take action today, and it's no offense to the water district at all in that regard, but I don't know if this is even appropriate. But number two, I would second what Mayor Pro Tem Branch was saying. We really do need to have a meeting between the two bodies. There's a lot of issues that, like you said, we need to be about action. We need to have positive change, and we need to get on the same page, and we cannot do that until both bodies are willing to sit down, put everything on the table, and let's get this stuff figured out. Developers have complaints with the water district. The city has complaints with the water district. I mean, it's just, we need to
Residents.
get these issues figured out. And so I'm not prepared to move forward. I'm not making this as a motion, but I'm not prepared to move forward just from the pure context of there's nothing in here that tells me how much money we received on the grant, what the grant was for, how it can be spent. And until I see that, I'm not willing to vote in the affirmative for any of the items being requested tonight.
Well, we're not asking for a vote tonight. I just wanted you to put it on your heart and your mind. Whatever you decide to do, whatever Mr. Hill, whatever any of the council members decide to do, I'm just coming out as a concerned citizen first and foremost, and then as a board of directors who was voted in. So I'm just reaching out. So, but I'm pretty sure there's some
appreciate you doing
information,
that.
but I'm not. You don't have to make no vote. No one has to make a vote. I just want you to see me face to face, eye to eye, let you know what I'm requesting. Either you're going to say yes or you're going to say no. And whatever happens, guess what? When I see you, how you do, I'm still going to be the same individual. What can I do to help you? Mr. Hill, if you tell me about a situation in your neighborhood, guess what? hey, I'm gonna get on it. That's just who I am. So outside of that, whether you give it to us or whether you don't, guess what? I still have to do a part in this community to serve this community to the best of my ability with the help of my other board of directors. So outside of that, don't need a yay or a nay. Just want you to know, hey, it's some serious situation. If we don't have those generators, guess what? Then it is what it is. Don't come knocking at my door. Hey, man, my water. Okay, well, hey, I'm reaching out.
So I also, I can't speak for my fellow council members, but I'm fully aware of the seriousness of the situation with regards to several things with the water district. And I can empathize with the seriousness of those situations. But I think to Mr. Hill's point, we can't be, so, I mean, on our agenda, it says discussion and possible action. So there is a request for some type of vote. But the other thing also is that whenever we're asking for funds to be shared, I think to his point, and thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Hill, without all the information, the full context, I don't feel comfortable making that kind of decision, because what kind of legal ramifications could potentially fall on the city by sharing grant money that was maybe earmarked for something else or specific to something else, or there was some sort of stipulation where we cannot share that with different entities and things like that. Trust me, I'm well aware, because I was there 2 years ago whenever the power went out, and we were trying to keep kids and animals alive and warm, and trying to figure out how to warm waters for animals that we had, and pulling out crawfish pots and everything else, because I don't have a fireplace in my house. And so I'm well aware, and I'm empathetic as a citizen. And I think it further highlights, seeing this list of needs for to the tune of $13 million further highlights the need that we've got to sit together. We've got to talk about what the needs are and figure out how to prioritize those together. And with the assistance of our attorney, where he can tell us, yes, we can use funds for this, no, we can't, or maybe here's another idea that none of us have thought about of how we can exercise other sources of funding or something like that. But I am in agreement that things need to be done quickly, and we need to make some decisions, and we need some action. Somebody's got to take a step forward. So I know that it's been voted on several times in council to schedule a meeting with the water board. And you're welcome to go back and look at the old videos of that. So
What numbers was it, Mr. Whitaker?
it was
one
the,
and
I'm sorry, I won't answer for
Number
him.
1 in line item number 6, it'll be the first. Number 3, the wastewater treatment plant, standby generator.
It's the Cooper Road Water Plant for $250,000 and the wastewater treatment plant standby generator for $300,000. So a total of $550,000.
That is correct. And like you say, there are other avenues. They don't have to be new. We find out we can get a nice rebuilt used one, for the cost less. But the whole situation is, you guys know, we all know what it can be used for. And there's no issue. Just have it on your mind.
This is my problem. This is not about us. This is about the citizens of Brookshire.
Yes.
But
Agree.
until these two entities can work together for something that is what I call crime scenes all around town, we can't even get the most simple things cured. I'm not willing to do anything.
I'm with you. I understand.
Mr. Whitaker,
Yes, ma'am.
if I say it, you can take that to the bank.
Yes, ma'am.
So maybe you would like to work with Mayor Branch and get one of those meetings scheduled sometime soon where
Yes,
we
ma'am.
can
Thank you,
get
Mayor
this
Pro Temp,
done.
Adam and Taylor, Mayor Branch, Adam and Hill, Adam Woman, Noanda. Thank y'all just for hearing me out.
Oh, no.
So I will do that. So thank you.
So no action. Okay, let's move on to agenda item number 9. Discussion and possible action regarding setting date for workshop regarding the City of Brookshire 2020 and 2021 audit. We don't have anybody?
Mr. Cohen was at the last meeting, but I don't see him here today.
I know he sent an email to Claudia said he's not available, I think it was most all of July, but he's willing to do a workshop with the council to interact and do some questions, and so,
Just table it.
so I think just table it, but I mean, just.
Is that something we can just schedule? I mean, send in availability, is that, I don't,
I don't want to commit his schedule, I can't remember the dates he put in that email.
Okay.
But I think it was, he wouldn't have been until late July, and maybe not in July at all, maybe in August, so I can't remember that.
rather than taking action, is that something that could just be emailed to us, then we can respond with whatever date works best?
It would be just a special meeting, whenever he's
Sure.
available, we'll make that happen through Claudia.
Okay.
Okay. Agenda item number 10, discussion and possible action regarding TML health benefit re-rate. We have him online.
Ms. Connor, Mr. TML's not here?
No, they sent some paperwork, Mayor Brand.
Yeah, I'll
Have
get him.
paperwork.
No, one, so they came to several meetings and they been sent away.
Well, we're trying to get it proved.
Can I ask what this is? Is this for the health benefit packages that are available to city employees? Okay, and so we're
What
being
we-
asked to select a new policy?
But what we usually do, Ms. Neuendorf, is we give these these numbers to the heads of departments, and they speak with their employees, and they pick which plan that they would like to go, because you have 4 options.
Correct.
And then the heads of departments brings it back to the council to be reviewed, and whoever has the,
That was what you have before you should be the option. Mayor Branch and, Ms. Harrison went to the meeting and met with TML, and I guess the both of them talked it over and decided about that particular plan.
that they wanted new plan option 1.
Yes.
And just a little-
Okay.
A little time what I saw from some email exchanges is that the reason that they had to do that is because there was a time limit on the approval of the new plan, which, from what I understand, the mayor said it's the better plan for the citizen, for the employees.
Okay.
But because there was a timeline and it had to be approved by council, the mayor had to enter that contract. And then this is for you to ratify. If it doesn't, if you don't ratify it, then you go back to the old plan.
Is this an employer contribution plan? Like, is there somewhere where we can see how much we are?
Option 1.
No, I mean, how much are?
Yes.
Say, go ahead.
We don't got that one. We don't got
No, I
that.
have this one too, but this one came in the packet, and then this is the one that you gave us.
The copay is 80%, 50%, but
No,
you're
I'm-
asking
How much does the employer contribute? So how much is the city paying towards the insurance plan?
100% if you are employed with the city of Brookshire, and correct me if I'm wrong, we pay 100%.
Okay.
If they want to include family
Members, they pay the
pay
difference? Okay.
the total difference.
Okay, no, I was curious about that. I mean, I was looking at the one with the 4 options, and I was like, well, if it were me personally, I like that one, but if that's the one y'all like.
I mean, it would also help the employees as far as,
Are you speaking in your microphone, Mayor Branch?
Medical,
when you go to the doctor.
medical,
Sure.
medical
So this was the consensus. So essentially, we just need to
approval.
say, okay.
And for clarification, what was stated was that co-payments and so forth
That's what I was trying
would
to
be
say,
waived,
copay.
You said,
but the deductible would be higher for the employees, which is pretty much better for the employees of having to pay the co-pays if they don't have it, than trying to meet a deductible that most of the time the employees never meet anyway. So that's why they went with that option.
Well, if there's no further discussion, I make a motion that we go with option number 1 through the TML health benefits re-rate.
Second.
Mr. Hill, your vote?
4.
And Ms. Taylor.
4.
Ms. Carter, remind me to, yeah, I've already signed it. We just gotta make sure it goes back tomorrow. Thank you. Okay, motion carries on that. Let's move on to agenda item number 11. Discussion and possible action regarding the application for a hotel motel grant, bona fide riders. Mr. Lasker, do you want to speak?
Hello, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm Henry Lasker. I'm the president of Bonafide Riders, and I'm just here. We need some answers. I mean, we went through all the procedures. I mean, we turned in our paperwork 90 days prior. We just need some answers. I mean, we put this out like a year ago. We've been traveling all over Texas to other rides, promoting our ride. But we down to the wire now. We have like 1 month for our ride next month. And we are now behind the power curve. But we just need some answers. You give us a yay or nay so we can tell, because we have been promoting all over Texas to have this ride. But like I said, it's 90 days, right, for the paperwork? And we put that in, and like I said, we just need some answers.
I make a motion that we approve the $5,700 amount requested by the Bonafide Trail Riders. I'd also like to make a motion in this. Justin, you can stop me. There was a hotel motel grant committee at one time where council didn't have to decide this. I hate to say this, but because of the pandemic, it all went away. So I would like to put a hotel motel grant committee back together for future grants being made.
If you want to save the second part of the motion, because when we get to future agenda items,
I don't.
No?
I
Okay.
don't.
Okay.
Second.
What is the paperwork filled out? I mean,
Everything,
You
if
got
you'll
all of
just
it.
go sit down, Mr. Lasker. Before you mess something up, Mr. Lasker, just let us vote.
Second.
Gotcha. Mr. Hill, your vote?
4.
And Ms. Newendorf?
4.
Motion carries. It's taken care of, Mr. Henry. Okay, let's move to agenda item number 12. Discussion and possible action regarding the operations of Public Works. Ms. Taylor, you,
Okay, for me, I just want to let this be known. I do not work for the city. I work for the people. Okay? And me and Mr. Kelly did get together, and I asked him about the grade digger for the streets. I have a couple citizens' complaints on where they streets get dug out. And I was asking you, did you have a time frame? That was my question for the citizens that we have. I had a lot of them in Brookshire Garden area, and then on the other side, other tracks.
I do have an answer for you too. Okay, I'm instructed by the mayor.
Mhm.
I do what he say he tell me to do, okay? I had a system set up, Stella Road, First Street, and all of this. The issue came up with basketball.
Mhm.
The mayor came to me and asked me, Mr. Kelly, did you go to basketball, boxing, and clean those ditches? Yes, I could. If I would have left it like that, everybody in that area would have been flooded because it's lower and high up there. The water would stay right there at basketball.
I know we discussed it, so I just wanted you to share.
Well, I'm gonna try and help you, Mr. Kelly. Public Works did start on Stella and moved up, I'll say a couple of 3 streets that run east and west. And then the water district decided to replace the water pipes there, so everything that Public Works just done got undone. And so they tried to move to another location and work north and south, and that got undone. It's no sense. I'm not telling you what to do, Mr. Kelly. You need to keep on listening to Mayor Branch. But it's no need for Public Works to continue north and south, east or west, over there until we can get, and we've asked the question, you've asked the question, where are Brookshire Municipal Water District contractors working where you could
Yeah,
work
a schedule of projects.
and not
That's what I was
Work around.
asking
have
for.
to go back and redo it again. I'm not saying that the water district is wrong for replacing the pipes. I'm just saying it's no need for Public Works to dig it out and then have to go back.
Yeah, that's.
So is that,
Yeah, like I said, me and him talked, so he explained this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's been tabled and tabled. I wanted him to speak.
Okay.
My other concern, I had lunch with Mr. Kelly several weeks ago now, and I asked him a question at meeting of how far behind are we in getting our ditches dug out? So across the entire city, as Ms. Taylor said, we don't work for one subdivision, we work for the entire city. Can feel somewhat assurance that the water flow is there in the event of a natural disaster or, any other scenario. And Mr. Kelly's answer was probably a year. So we've got quite a bit of work to do, and I would almost suggest that we have a separate time as council where we can discuss an action plan that would allow Mr. Kelly to maintain the city buildings, but it may be that we need to bring in a contractor to handle the parks, and we need to handle mowing with someone else to give them the time to go through and get all of our ditches dug out. Because being a year behind, this time next year we're going to be a year and a half behind if we don't have a dedicated plan. And so we need to start looking proactively at this and not reactionary. And I agree with Ms. Branch, if other entities are going to be digging out our ditches and disrupting the flow of water, that should be being brought to the city first before they're out there. I know it's their easement, but there should be some cooperation
Communication.
that's held instead of them just doing it and then we see pipes up all over the place and we have to figure out what they're for later.
Right.
That can be addressed in the workshop between the two entities. But I would like to see us explore the idea of bringing in another entity potentially in the next budget cycle to maintain our parks and grass cutting to allow Public Works more time to handle getting our ditches dug out so we can finally address some of the drainage issues that we have within the city.
and I'd also like to add to that, just digging ditches is not the answer to our flooding problems. Culverts need to be replaced, cleaned, whatever it's going to take. We're coming into budget workshop time, and we really need to concentrate on new culverts. There's culverts in Brookshire Gardens that's 18 inches. That part of Brookshire Gardens ditches were cleaned by the previous administration, but they didn't change out the culverts. So therefore, you still have the same problem because our city ordinance now, if you place a culvert, it's up to 24 inches, but we would prefer 36. Is that a true and correct statement, Mr. Kelly? And we're going to have to replace And where the water district is digging, they're leaving such a space under the culvert that the water is standing in residence ditches, which breeds mosquitoes. And I guess Mr. Worthall missed public comments, but we'll get to you, I assure you, Mr. Worthall.
Since you feel like the council and the municipal water district need to have a meeting between the two boards and discuss some of this.
That's what we trying
Wade?
to do. We've been trying.
Oh, he's being funny.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thanks, Tony.
One more thing I would like to say. In the last council meeting, in the public comments, this lady got up here and spoke. She worked for the state, do the major freeways, roads and stuff to clean out the covers. Me and you had spoke about this, Mayor, but I didn't speak to the other councils about it. So that's a good investment. Once she, come out and rebuild.
We'll try to work
We
it
kept
in.
her card.
We'll try to work it in on some agenda. Okay. Any other discussion?
Also, just to let the council know as well, one of the grants we received, they are fixing some of the drainage issues. Actually, they will be here tomorrow, and they're gonna go out on some of the sites that they've already started correcting some of the drainage issues. One of them is Baines and Willow Spring, one is Stallneck and Depot, and the other one is somewhere between Purdy and Rouse. So some of those issues, they are working on as far as the drainage issue. And that's from the city, some of the city grants.
That's good news.
Thank you, ma'am. I guess we can move on with no action on this one. Okay, agenda item number 13, discussion and possible action regarding the functions of the Youth Action Committee, the Youth Advisory Commission, and the Youth Advisory Council. Mr. Hill.
Who's the
Yes, Mayor,
president?
Council, I asked this to be on the agenda because we have this commission, council, committee, and their key paragraph in their mission statement is to improve the lives of the citizen of Brookshire's youth by advising the mayor and city council and other decision makers on issues related to the young people, comment on legislation and policies that impact youth, create public service, programs, etc. To my knowledge, we've not yet seen them come before city council to actually talk about any, key issues and what they're doing. So I just kind of wanted to be able to hear from them because I know, they've gone on some trips and stuff like that. And I'd like to hear what exactly they are doing to help influence decisions being made in Brookshire.
They're here, Mr. Hill, and giggling and pointing to see which one's going to speak.
Hi, my name is John Daisha Price. I was the first president of the Brookshire Youth Advisory Council. In my first year, we did the breast cancer awareness walk. We did the trip. I did have to resign early because of my senior year activities. But I will say, coming back now as a mentor, there's a lot of things that I want to do myself with the students, and that I also can get help the city with. I know myself, I would like to host a resume review for the youth of Brookshire to help with college applications and whatnot. I do think that there should be more partnership between the city because me, myself, being a part of the organization, I learned a lot about small city government, how to run events, and it was very beneficial to me. I know the Juneteenth Festival.
Did it die?
Dead.
Yeah, this one.
Hey. He's coming. He's coming.
backgrounds.
Do y'all need me to repeat anything? Okay. Uh, Thanks. I know at the Juneteenth festival we had a little trouble with like volunteers. I think that would be a great thing to have, you know, our Brookshire Youth Advisory council members come out and help with events like that, and also maybe help plan those events, because I think it helps them get more involved. It gives them more events to help out, and it also, you know, takes something off of the city's shoulders. So we have 3 of the kids here. There were more here last week. They would like to recite their pledge. They've done a lot of good work. They've learned a lot of good things, and definitely hear what you're saying, Mr. Hill. There definitely should be more partnership between the Youth Advisory Council / Commission and the city. So maybe we should plan a meeting between the City Council and our Youth Advisory Council to think about the events that we could partner with in the future. So I'm going to have them say the pledge. Already.
I swear I don't bite.
Nah, it's cool.
Can you state your name, please, sir?
My name is Victor Arambula. May y'all please stand and raise your right hand. I pledge my mind for positive and productive thinking, my heart for devotion and love, my hands to sacrifice and serve, my health to make a difference for my city, my community, my county, my country.
Prometo mi mente para el pensamiento positivo y productivo, mi corazón. First of all, okay. My name is Brianna Arambula, and I will be saying the pledge in Spanish. Prometo mi mente para el pensamiento positivo y productivo, mi corazón para la devoción y el amor, mis manos para sacrificarme y servir, y mi salud para hacer una diferencia para mi ciudad, mi comunidad, mi condado y mi país.
Still standing or sitting?
Please sit down, please sit down, please sit down. I'm the second president of YAC. My name is Caitlin Rodriguez. Okay. I'm nervous, forgive me guys. This is my first time being the president. I've been with the YAC since the beginning of it, since 8th grade. So I'm gonna be a senior this year. It helped me see some things in the community, and I have a speech to make. The speech was not made by me. It was made by my sister, Catherine Rodriguez, who's also a YAC member, but unfortunately could not make it. She's the one who's make my speech. She's very good. I love you too. The world we are going in is divide and desperate kill.
Okay, el mundo en que estamos ahorita está dividido
You might want to be in school.
y necesita ayuda.
The whole community is struggling, and politics are consuming everything.
La comunidad entera está struggling. Hold on. Struggling, and I can't read the handwriting. Okay.
Sorry, because we have Spanish and English YAC memos, so we kind of like know that everyone is allowed to come in. Okay, I'll take a while. Okay, the YAC program of youth of today, leaders of tomorrow are here to show a positive mindset for not only adults but children as well. The community in which we are lying in is full of lies and cheat. Must we worry about what struggle we must the next day instead of being joyful of what's to come? The YAC cannot only be an inspiring to all. Thank you. You should be up here with me. I'm alone. Sorry. But can also be a helpful source for everyone. Is the world in chaos? Yes. Would the world be perfect or ever be the same? No. But as a community, we can make change together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Carol Arambula. I am the mother of Victor and Brianna Arambula. When Brianna came to my house at the beginning of the school asking me if she could be in the YAC program, she told me that Officer Stamps had invited her. I really didn't know what it was until I've seen that they were getting involved into community. It's helped a lot of my kids to develop themselves with the community. They used to be shy, especially my oldest child, Victor, and now he has learned how to communicate more with people. He's learned how to help people, so as my daughter has helped other people. The time that I've been helping them with the YAC program is when they've been making the toys for the kids in Christmas. I enjoy the time making the posters with my kids. I've seen them happy. I've seen them enjoying themselves being able to help the community. When they also did the socks for the seniors as well, I've seen that. They were also happy. They enjoyed that. I am a certified nurse aide, and I'm a type of person that likes to help people. And I will stand for YAC, so I will be part of, to help them as well, each and one of the kids that will be a participant of YAC. They get helped a lot with the community, with counseling, with developing themselves in their future. Once they graduate, they will be able to know something what's out there. They're being guided to the right road. They're being guided to places that they need to be, college. They're letting them know how to get to their education that they want to be when they want to grow up. I like to help people, and I'm proud of my children, what they're doing now, helping other people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wants to speak? That's it? Mr. Hill? Mr. Hill?
Nope, that's all I have.
Move on.
Move on. What do you mean? What is this? What's the action on this one? No action.
No action.
Mayor, Mr. Hill, Alderman Hill, in the past, we did allow the YAC to come and meet the council once we sworn them in, but I think that it's been a lot of mishap with the switching and transitions because they missed that year of YAC with the virus. So it's like it kind of threw off their schedule because when they were sworn in, they were supposed to come and actually meet the council and do the photo op and attend meetings. We have told them to attend meetings, but it's kind of hard with their schedules to get them to our meetings. So we're working on that. So it is something that we will make sure that they be a part of that. When we went to Kyle, Texas, our YAC actually was ahead of all of the other YACs. They actually don't allow them to participate as a council. They're only doing community service. So we were actually ahead. But now we had to slow down because of the virus, and so we haven't actually allowed them. We gave them positions, but we haven't actually allowed them to run meetings yet, to be able to present those things yet, because they're still learning how meetings are handled. So tonight helps them as well to understand those things.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to agenda item number 14. Discussion and possible action regarding the use of positive pay on city payroll checks. Mr. Hill.
This was tabled last meeting for Ms. Harrison to be present. She's not present tonight. So I assume we need to table this again.
Okay. This item is tabled. Agenda item number 15. Discussion and possible action regarding packets being placed on the city website. Mr. Hill.
Yes, Mayor and Council. Discuss this with the mayor a little bit. I'd like to see us start having our agenda packets being placed on our city website. That way the citizens are able to see to the extent allowable by law. Obviously, if there's items that our city attorney deems as unable to be public knowledge at that time, they would not go on there. But many of our municipalities around us, our county does this. It's fully available for public consumption. And I'd like to see us move towards that model where that's available to our citizens as well.
I mean, legally, there's nothing wrong with doing that at all. There is some confidential information we could always, not make available.
Blackout.
An additional part of this that I would see this as a selfish ask for me is that if we're going to do this, then that administratively it's going to take more time than I think we're used to for preparing for a meeting. So if we were to start implementing this now, think about the timing. We're on a Thursday night, and even tonight you're going to set future agenda items. We would have to post this no later than, I guess it's like 5 days from now, Monday of the week of the meeting. That's the latest we can do it. I think that we prefer to have it like about a week from today, have an agenda posted with the packet associated with it. In order to do that, that only leaves really 4 business days to get all items with backup ready for your packet. So if we're going to do this, my suggestion would be that when we do future agenda items, which we expect those to be not on the next agenda, but the agenda 2 weeks after. That would allow at least 1 month to get the agenda set, and if we're going to do it like this, all the packet information would be able to be available, correct, so that you would have a complete packet.
We're having a hard time getting the packets on Friday. And our website is not really up to par, and I would like for you take a little consideration, Mr. Hill, and if it's going to take 2 weeks to get the packet up, I mean, when we can't get packets on time right now, I think we might need to find an alternative way of doing. I think it's a great idea. I don't understand why it's going to take so long, but...
Is it something that we could start at the beginning of, I think we had voted on the city administrator position starting September 1st.
We haven't even posted that position, but it needs to get posted.
It's not a legal request, it's an administrative request. I mean, you continue doing the same agenda as you do it now. The problem is that it's such a short turnaround to get the thing posted up because you meet every 2 weeks. And when you have, even 2 or 3 agenda items that you're adding in the future agenda items, that really only is a few days to get that set. And I don't disagree with posting the packet online. Again, nothing legally wrong with that. It's just if we're going to do that kind of packet submittal online, then you need to have a good amount of time to make sure that what you're posting online is correct, so we're not posting incorrect packets. And I'm just saying that with the 4 days or whatever it is, if we even tonight we're going to set future agenda items, that gives us at the best time Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and we probably want to post about a week before. I mean, that's 4 or 5 business days to get all those items done. And if staff can handle that, then that's something we can shoot for. I'm just saying I think it might be a stretch. So all I'm saying is that on your agenda structure, as we go forward, we might have to understand it's going to take a little bit of time to get that system working so that you get the correct packet posted.
Well, I know our county commissioners court was meeting once a week for the last month, and they were able to do this. So if it's an issue of staffing, then I think we should roll this into the new city administrator's position to oversee the implementation of this. So my motion would be that we start placing the agenda packets on the city website, but allow the new city administrator to begin the rollout upon their hiring beginning minimally September 1st, 2022.
Second.
Ms. Nundo,
4.
Ms. Taylor,
4.
Agenda item number 16, discussion and possible action regarding conducting a forensic audit paid for by tax pool funds or other resources we may have. Mr. Hill.
Is Mr. Manny Muriel
He's here.
He's
still
here.
in the audience?
He's here.
All right, if you will allow him to present.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you. I don't know if you can hear me.
There you go.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mr. Hill, thank you for inviting me. My name is Manny Muriel. I'm with Baker Tilly. We are a top 10 national CPA advisory firm. I'm with the Global Forensics and Litigation and Compliance Services practice. Mr. Hill and I had a conversation and a consultation about potential forensic needs that the city may need. If I can walk you through, I've provided packets to each of you, which gives a general overview. I don't want to bore you, and I don't want to bore the citizens with going through the entire 7 pages. So I can give you some quick highlights. As I said, we are a top 10. We're ranked number 9. We were $1.6 billion in revenue for last year. We have 50 offices across the United States. We're in about 143 different territories with our Baker Tilly International. It says 4,600 employees. We've actually acquired another firm, so we're at about 6,000. Our team has about 200 professionals that are trained forensic accountants. This is what we do. To give you a little background about myself, the bios of the team members that we've selected are included in the packets. To give you a little background about myself, I spent 25 years with the Internal Revenue Service Criminal Investigations. I retired in 2019 and joined Baker Tilly. In my last position, I was a special agent in charge of the Detroit field office, so I ran the state of Michigan. Prior to that, I held numerous executive leadership positions with the service. My specialty is financial crimes and forensic investigations. I hold a bachelor's in accounting and an MBA with concentration in finance. And again, I don't want to bore you with all of our resumes, but that's the highlights. I don't know if there's any specific questions that I can answer to you or for Mr. Hill.
Approximately how much would
Well, I
this?
want to be clear to the council, this would be a forensic audit as well as an internal controls review. In speaking with our current auditor and our current CPA and Mr. Chambers, there's several things that we have going on within our city in the financial sector that don't appear to be in keeping with necessarily good practices. And that's one of the things we need to just get to the bottom of once and for all and kind of, get better practices set in place. This would allow us to do that. It would make sure everything is on the up and up that is existing in our system, but would also give us a blueprint to go forward, moving forward on how to better set ourselves up financially as far as the accounting processes are concerned.
Just a quick point of clarification, it would be a forensic investigation. The term audit has very specific connotations when you talk about attestations and adhering to generally accepted auditing standards. And so this would be a forensic investigation. You are looking for any indications of fraud or misappropriation or any malfeasance. And so for that reason, it's not, just for clarification, it's not an audit.
And what we're really looking for is to see how could we keep, it's hard when you have 5 or 6 different checking accounts, and I have to look through all of these different check numbers and match it to which account this goes to and was it taken out of the proper line item? And I'm not an accountant, and it drives me crazy. And my main concern would be for recommendations from your firm to tell us how could we streamline. Are we anywhere close to proper bookkeeping that would streamline to help the council as well as the staff that's responsible?
And absolutely, as part of our engagement, what we would do is we would come in and do the investigation or examination of your policies, your procedures, your actual accounting methodology. We'd look to see if there's any indication of any fraudulent activity or any misappropriations. And in addition to that, we would help you develop, we would identify any deficiencies in your internal controls or any gaps that you might have in your internal controls. And as part of our, as part of the overall engagement, we would help you develop remediation strategies or how to better improve efficiencies, whether it's through technology, acquiring certain softwares, whether it's potentially adding another position. There's a realm of possibilities, but that's part of our overall engagement is if we identify, we're just going to say that there's no fraudulent activity, there's nothing that went wrong, but that you do have some gaps in your internal controls. We would come in and say, okay, well, look, we've identified A, B, and C. We recommend that you implement these procedures to help better streamline your accounting and your record keeping, and strengthen your internal controls to prevent, any potential fraud.
Sure.
And I know you had asked a question earlier about the fees. So.
About
fees?
Fees,
Yes.
Thank you for reminding me.
I should have just walked right over that. So our fee, what I would recommend for this particular engagement, because we don't necessarily know the scope of the investigation, how many years it's actually going to entail, the volume of records, the types of databases and the accounting software that the city uses. What we would recommend is that it be done in a phased approach. We do an initial phase to come in, take an initial assessment to see what books and records the city maintains, see what your processes are, and then come back with the second phase to say, okay, look, based on what we've reviewed, we expect that it's going to take X number of weeks, and this is what we estimate that the cost to be.
Sure. That'd be great.
Wake up.
Mr. Hill, wake up.
So for Justin, or for Manny, there is a requirement that you would need from our city attorney. Remind me again of what that was.
So we've had other engagements that we've been brought in by cities or municipalities to do these types of forensic investigations. And in those instances, they've had certain indications that there was some potential fraudulent activity that occurred within the city. In those instances, they've hired outside counsel so that there's a privilege. That's a decision that the city council is going to have to make, whether or not, because right now, with us coming in just as a CPA accounting firm, there would be no privilege, as the city attorney knows. And so
Say
there's
that in plain English for us, Justin.
that if this forensic investigation, we're going to find some criminal activity, Olson & Olson wouldn't be the one.
Wouldn't be, sure.
To prosecute.
Sure.
And we make that clear, and I mean, if council chooses to go forward with Baker Tilly, then we make that clear in the special services
Okay. So next course of action would be to basically develop that services agreement, correct?
That's right. So, I mean, I think the action would be, I mean, if we move forward with this, we'd have to, in the next council meeting, if you have a draft version ready to go or whatever, we'd work out a professional services agreement between the city and Baker Tilly for the scope of, your either phase investigation or the whole thing or part of it. You just approve that as an item to council.
Okay. That would be my motion then.
Second.
okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Seconded.
Ms. Nundo?
4.
4.
Okay, motion carries, passes, whatever.
Yes, both.
We're at agenda item number 17, discussion and possible action regarding BEDC, use of city employees' assets and other items. Mr. Hill.
Mayor and council, there's no action that's really going to be taken out of this one tonight, but more to make you aware, the BEDC tonight took steps towards a transition period where Ms. Harrison would no longer be doing functions for the EDC. The goal is for that transition to be complete by the beginning of the next budget cycle. And then the EDC is going to be making steps towards allowing for their own purchasing of office supplies and stuff like that. So it's no longer kind of commingled with the city stuff like it's been in the past. So just making y'all aware of that change.
Your dogs are barking, Mr. Hill.
The neighbors actually, but yes.
Any other discussion? Okay. No action. Okay, agenda item number 18. Discussion and possible action regarding invoice payments and reports.
You're looking at me because I'm always the one that has questions.
I'm just looking. I can't say it.
I don't have anything today. I think maybe okay, I lied. Just administratively, whenever we're looking at some of the copies of the invoices that we're getting, we're seeing things that are like crossed out and handwritten. And I think just maybe for accounting purposes, I don't know that that's 100% accurate. I think that we need to see updated statements from companies.
Is anybody able to speak to the invoices for animal control? I was under the impression we're under a contract with Waller County for that.
Yes, we are.
Well, what do you want to know, Mr. Hill? I might can help out and I might not.
Well, should we have those invoices that Waller County is supposed to be doing? Looks like for boarding and shots. Let me get back to that particular page.
Before, Mr. Hill, if I may explain. Before we got the contract with Waller County Animal Control, yours truly was Waller County Animal Control. Brookshire Animal Control, with help from, guess I probably shouldn't mention names, but they deserve a pat on the back. Jessica Worthall was one, and the agreement that we had with Bell's Buds would, and the council voted on this, is because the council has a 3-day hold just in case Kim Branch went on vacation and her foo-foo dog got out, and she didn't know she could get her dog back in 3 days. Well, the city has a rule that will pay for those animals to go to Brookshire Small Animal Clinic, have a 3-day holding period, and they get their shots. I think it's kennel cough, parvo, and one other one that I don't know. But
Leptospirosis, probably. Or
believe
rabies.
me, Chief Miller's been on quite a few animal control adventures also, but they've always been taken to Brookshire Small Animal Clinic, approved by the mayor.
Okay, I guess my second question would be, this is for an annual and a heartworm check, and based on the birth date, it appears to be the same animal on multiple dates.
That may be the police's canine. I don't want to answer to that.
Right, and it's pit bull mix, so I would assume it's not theirs.
Oh. Well, I have no earthly idea where.
So if you're like on the invoice, and I think to his point, it says it's a follow-up leptospirosis annual heartworm check. It has canine boarding 60 to 75 pounds for a heart guard single next guard. But then whenever you look at the opposite invoice, there were multiple distributions of Apoquil, and Apoquil is a drug that's used for skin allergies in
Itching,
animals.
yeah. If y'all will just hold those out, I would be more than happy to get with Sally at the small animal clinic and see. Once again, I don't have
They in the middle.
some of the stuff that y'all have.
It's behind the police department section.
I have this part, and that's it.
But I think, to Mr. Hill's point, what looks like the same animal was seen on April 9th for an Apoquil, and again on June 11th for another dose of Apoquil. Once again, that's a medication that's given to dogs for skin allergies. That is not, by the appearance of it, that's not necessary for a dog that was picked up off the street and we're holding it for 3 days.
We understand.
Yeah. And then even on the invoice, on the very first page where it shows the balance of $2,827.85.
Well, I really don't want to speak on that. I do know that we had a canine there for quite a long time, but that's not my place to speak on, so I'm not sure how we're going to get
We're just
that.
gonna have to call the small animal clinic and
Yeah.
figure out who,
Maybe you
where
could,
this canine.
Chief.
But these are supposed to have been prior to the agreement with Waller County. When was the Waller County agreement supposed to
Well,
have
see,
taken
that's-
effect?
That's another thing we need to look into.
That's a problem, because they sent the contract, we signed the contract. If you talk to Sheriff Guidry, we've had animal control since January 1, but, you know, we were still rescuing. I don't know, can Mr. Worthall speak, but Jessica's still getting puppies from out from under houses and stuff, and Waller County Animal Control is mainly there for dog bites, vicious dogs. They have been seen in town picking up dogs running astray, but I'm gonna tell you, they're not here 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. And they're not taking care of all the animals that everybody just abandons. That Waller County is overran with dogs just like Bell's Buds are right now. It's hard to get anybody to take them.
So, I mean, if, I guess according to what we know, a contract was signed, and do we have any kind of outline of what that contract is supposed to be, and have we paid for our portion of the contract, or is that something where we're supposed to be billed up to the threshold, or?
I'll get you a copy of
No,
that.
we haven't been given a whole lot.
Okay.
I'll get you a copy.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anything else?
I don't think they picked up any dogs till February, maybe.
I'd say the latter part of March, but
Yeah,
that's
I was
just
gonna say
me.
a little longer too.
Even though it was approved, I was at the council meeting that y'all approved it, and it was not.
No.
No, we signed the contract in January. I believe that the problem was the pavement didn't make it to the county, but, you know.
You and I both know that stray dogs in this city is still an issue.
Yes.
Something's gotta be
But like, once again, Tuesday, I get a call that, can you please call the police? I don't want to, because I don't want my neighbor to retaliate. But here's two dogs running down the street. I call the police, and the police has to go over there because this lady's decided that she just wants to let her dogs run wild. Well, if I was in that neighborhood, I would think that they're stray dogs. So I called Waller County Animal Control. Well, now the lady has taken her dogs back in her yard. Waller County comes down here, and there's no dogs to be found.
everyday issue.
Right.
Because they're 25 miles away.
They can drive up and down a few roads if there's no dogs to be found.
It's just the people are not educated that there is a leash law, and quit letting your dog out the front fence to run the neighborhood. Period, paragraph.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We start finding them, they will get their act together.
Chief Miller.
Okay.
Let me just make sure my gate stays closed. Don't come by my house. No.
My dog can no longer come and look at your chickens.
Caught him on camera.
Okay, let's get through with this. I'm ready to get out of this, huh? Okay, what are we gonna do here on number 18?
I make a motion that we approve the action regarding the invoices and payments and reports.
With the exception of the veterinary bills.
With the exception of the veterinary clinic.
Second.
Mr. Hill?
4.
And Ms. Branch?
I abstain, Mayor.
Three to one. Okay. Agenda item number 19. Requests for future agenda items. I would like to say,
Got two
If-
tables.
if we can limit to maybe about 3 today, because we already got a big list for the next meeting.
Well, Mayor Branch, I have a complaint. Last city council meeting, you didn't ask me, did I have any future agenda items, and I felt,
There's a reason.
I felt some kind of way, Mayor Branch, so if
You'll
you
be all
don't
right.
mind.
You'll be all right. I'm not gonna ask you
Because
again.
we
I was a witness to
tabled
that,
the
Alderwoman
whole-
Branch.
Yeah,
Okay.
we tabled the whole last meeting, that's why.
Okay. Well, today, Mr. Hill, you have any agenda items requests?
Yes, sir, I do.
Hold on. Go ahead.
Discussion and possible action, department heads report, first city council meeting of each month.
Second.
Ms. Amanda, Ms. Nundo,
4.
Ms. Taylor.
4.
The next one, Mr. Hill.
Discussion and possible action, hosting a workshop with the board of directors of the water district.
Second.
4.
Well, that might,
Just thought it would help. No,
Ms. Newendorf, you said.
sorry, 4.
Okay. And Ms. Taylor.
4.
Mr. Hill?
My last one would be, we previously approved an executive session as a rolling item, but it was not on this agenda. So do we need to make a new motion for that to be a rolling agenda item?
You're on, Justin.
I mean, you can, it's the mayor's agenda, so.
All right, well, that's my motion.
We'll just put it back.
Second.
That would be my motion.
Ms. Newendorf
4.
and Ms. Taylor.
4.
Okay.
Just so everybody's clear on that, so Councilman Hill and everyone else, is that at any time, if what you're wanting is consultation with the attorney, we don't have to post that on the agenda, especially if there's pending litigation. We can call that. But for everything else, whatever the item is, we have to be specific on what it is we want. And so we can put executive session on there, but we gotta list the specific provisions of the government code that we're doing executive session under. So just keep that in mind.
Correct. So it should be the same. Yep, it should be the same executive session item wording as before.
Can I speak to you after the meeting regarding that? Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Newendorf?
Oh, sorry. I was like, I already voted. Yes. Discussion and possible action regarding the formation of the following committees: Animal Welfare Committee, City Event Planning Committee, and a Parks and
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Recreation
you're going too
Committee.
fast.
I'll be happy to repeat it.
We had an animal welfare committee, but we can
Anyway.
change it.
Say it again, please, ma'am.
Discussion and possible action regarding the formation of the following committees: Animal Welfare Committee, City Event Planning Committee.
We really don't have no committee for them.
Hmm?
We don't have no committee at all for that.
We don't.
No.
I know, that's why I'll get to, and the Parks and Recreation Committee.
I just asked for
Parks.
two of them.
Can't hear you, I'm sorry.
I just asked for to do 2 of them, to plan 2 of them.
The 2 events?
Yeah, but I was supposed to have help working with
The,
them.
I think the purpose that I would see be beneficial in forming committees is that whenever you have a committee, then they can meet and they should be coming to council to give committee reports so that the council is aware of what planning is being done and different things. That was the purpose of it, to go along with maybe the hotel motel grant committee. That's why I was asking earlier if you wanted to. We got it taken care of.
I'm sure that you got my hotel motel grant.
Committee formation under the meeting.
It's your agenda item. Jennifer, I'm talking to you. I'll get with you. The mayor's ready to go home.
Yes, it's hot. I'm tired. Oh, we need to vote on this.
4. I mean, second. Nobody seconded.
Mr. Hill, your vote.
4.
And Ms. Branch, your vote.
For
Okay, Ms. Newendorf, your
That's it.
second one.
That's it.
That's it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
That's 7.
For today.
Ms. Taylor.
None at this time for the mayor.
Ms. Taylor, no. Ms. Branch.
Thank you, Mayor Branch. Discussion and possible action regarding no cash payments accepted by the court or city departments. Everything be paid by cashier's check, money order, debit card, or credit card.
Second.
Ms. Newendorf
4.
and Ms. Taylor.
4.
Ms. Branch, your second one, if you have one.
To hire I don't know how to nicely put this. So here goes. Discussion and possible action dismissing Gunda and hiring a company that only does municipal permits.
Second.
And that's all, Mayor.
Mr. Hill, your vote, please.
4.
And Ms. Nunendorf.
4.
Okay. Did I miss anybody?
Not today.
Mayor Branch, it has been a practice before that you could go back to agenda item number 3. And since I promised Mr. Worthall that we would let him speak, I'm asking you, with all due respect, sir, to go back to agenda item number 3 and give Mr. Worthall an opportunity.
I didn't sign for public comments tonight, but do we want to have a mosquito vector report? Is that what we're talking about?
Is that why you came?
I came to keep up with my council that represents me.
Ah, that's right.
Well, never mind, Mayor Branch. I was out of line, and I don't care that Mr. Worthall was late.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
He said he didn't want something.
Okay, so recently, we've been missing a lot of rainfall, but even though that's happened,
Mosquitoes.
we're on the better side of mosquitoes right now. Normally when I come up here, y'all, it's the other way around. We have mosquito issues. Right now we're ahead of the curve. Last month we larvicided all the ditches. Larvicide behind where we had talked about before, the retention pond off of 362 there behind the mechanic shops there. So we're ahead and able to get control. We do have a few mosquitoes. Asian tiger mosquitoes not so bad, but we do have Culex mosquitoes. Those are the ones you see at night. The small ones, the immature ones, they have to have a blood meal pretty quick to stay alive. And because they're not getting that and having the standing water, we're under good control.
Getting me. I'm providing the blood meal. You're welcome.
Thank you. So if I'm doing my job right and the bill looks okay, then I think just 2 times a week mosquito service. Usually I service Tuesday and Thursday nights. I decided not to service tonight so I could come to the meeting, but I am going to service tomorrow night. The other thing, I have had this question before. Not every night do I go by every single home whenever I do a service. Some homes will be hit, all the homes will be hit at least once a week. But sometimes I have to get off the beaten path and go into the areas that are not home areas. They're behind the homes. Like a good example is Crystal Lakes and Hogus Park. Go behind the baseball fields and those open areas back in those areas. We have a lot of standing water on 359. I did have a question, did we fix the splash pad? Because we've always had an issue with the drainage right next to the splash pad, and I know that it stays wet a lot, but somebody told me recently it has been repaired. Has it been repaired?
Mr. Kelly said last week.
Last week? Okay, so that's gonna help. But other than that, thank you very much for allowing me to serve the community. It is an important thing to keep the vector virus of West Nile virus. City of Houston just recently found some areas within the city that have Culex mosquitoes of West Nile. So it's not anything that'll ever go away, but we have it under control.
It's been here for decades.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Agenda
item number 20. Council reports and community announcements. Can't do council reports. Ms. Harrison is not here. Mr. Hill, you have any community announcement?
The only thing I'd like to say is today is Texas Fallen Officer Day. So we'd like to keep in mind the families that have had an officer that has passed away in the line of duty and remember those families today.
Anything else?
That will be all, sir.
Ms. Nundo?
None today.
Excuse me?
None.
Ms. Taylor?
None at this time.
And Ms. Branch?
None at this time, sir, but thank you.
Okay. Agenda item number 21, adjournment.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Branch, Taylor, Mr. Hill, your vote.
I would say against, but I think the mayor would jump through the screen.
Probably would. Ms. Nundo?
Now I want to do it. 4. It would still pass.
I know, because I'm
I don't
leaving.
even
I'll
think
be
you-
here by yourself.
Technically, you don't even have to entertain a motion to
No.
adjourn.